Am I the a-hole for being surly, rude, and mean at the wedding and leaving early? Plus updates. Original post. I was asked to be a member of the wedding party. Despite this, I was the only person, not only in the wedding party, but also at the ceremony, who wasn't allowed to have a +1. This was an outdoor wedding with limited seating, and these people don't give a crap about COVID, so it wasn't about that. I was told it was because my relationship wasn't serious enough despite us being together for a year. That only engaged or married couples were invited, and that they didn't want some random guy in their wedding pictures who I might not even be with later in the future. They don't want to have to look at some random guy in their pictures even though he wouldn't have been in any of the post pictures at all. Maybe just in the background of crowd shots. There have been zero conflicts between them and my boyfriend. And he's a nice and mild-mannered guy who gets along with everyone, so I don't think it was about him personally. I get to the ceremony and find out that literally everyone else has +1. Not just married couples, but there are couples there who have been dating for less time than me. This is when I started feeling surly. I smiled and played my part during the ceremony, but inside I was very surly and angry. We then got to the reception, which had way more people than the ceremony. This is where all the more distant friends were invited, and everyone there had a +1. I was literally placed at a table as the one single person, and everyone else at the table was a couple. Some at the table were other members of the wedding party, but others were random distant acquaintances. People started asking me where my boyfriend was, and I said I was told he wasn't invited. They asked why, and I said I had no idea why. This is when I started letting my surliness show and started acting rude and mean, because I was humiliated. And then I was brought into conversation with the couple's male friend Dean. I was previously told that Dean has a crush on me, and I made it clear I wouldn't be interested even if I were single. Even after that, they kept trying to message me and I ignored him. But now the people who brought me into conversation with Dean were like standing around staring at us and giggling behind their hands, like they thought they were Cupid matchmakers. Dean was absolutely a participant in this. I was meaner to Dean than I've ever been to anyone in my entire life. I was as fully rude as I've ever wanted to be when being the target of someone's romantic interest unwantedly. It's true I don't really know if I was being set up, but I was already furious before that happened. Everyone was silent and awkward. I went back and finished my meal, and as soon as I was done, picked up my purse and left and went straight to my boyfriend's house, skipping most of the reception, cake cutting, speeches, and everything. I'm now being told by the couple that they're hurt and confused why I left so early. I haven't replied. Edit. I didn't want to describe the conversation because people would probably think really badly of me if they saw how horrible I really acted. But screw it. This was toward the end of the meal and some people are still eating and some people are just partying, standing and talking, circulating around the room. I was eating and someone comes over to me goes, "Hey, could you come over here for a second? Someone has a question for you." Already I was suspicious because that was a scenario straight out of the second grade lunchroom. But fine, whatever, maybe it has to do with my bridal party stuff. So I come over and who is standing there but Dean, looking really smug, and a few other people are standing there who are already giggling. So I already start feeling angry. Because again, this is reminding me of the second grade lunchroom scenario, and I'm already imagining how it's going to go. He actually started out with, "Hey beautiful," and I went, "What do you want?" in an angry tone. I think he sensed that this wasn't going to go like what he had in his mind, but he continued what he obviously planned out. So he said, "I just wanted to ask you something," and I said, "What?" He went, "There is something wrong with my phone. Can you help me fix it?" I said, "I don't know anything about phones. Sorry, can't help you," and turned around to go back. And he went, No. What's wrong with my phone is that it doesn't have your number in it." And I just went off, because I already made it clear I was not into whatever this was, and I already turned to leave. But he interrupted me leaving and kept going despite it all. I was furious because I was already angry, plus he wasn't paying attention to how I felt or caring about it. So I felt like he deserved what I was going to give to him. I raised my voice and said, "Dean, F off and leave me alone. No, you can't have my freaking number. No, I don't want to go out with you. I don't want to talk to you. I'm not attracted to you. I don't want anything to do with you. You are not interesting or attractive to me at all. I want you to leave me the heck alone. He was looking down during all of this and not at me. And I said, I want you to look at me and agree you're going to leave me alone from now on. Yes or no? And he said yes, and I said, look at me and say yes. So he did. So I turned around and left him alone after that. I know I humiliated him and I did it on purpose. I had to admit that, but it's true. Even though I raised my voice, it was loud in the room, so only the people standing nearby and one unrelated table nearby heard it. Now for the top comments before reading the little update. Wow. There are layers to this like a freaking parfait made entirely of dog crap in different stages of decomposition, and it just kept getting worse. From the title, I thought you were the a-hole. Then it was like, okay, maybe it's everyone sucks here. Then it got to not the a-hole and kept on trucking into how the newlyweds and Dean are huge a-holes. It just kept on going. Honestly, you are absolutely not the a-hole, and in fact should be commended and not engaging in some fully warranted a-hole behavior of your own. Because I absolutely do not consider rudely rejecting Dean's advances to be a-hole behavior when he is complicit in his setup attempt from hell. I think at the very least you would have been completely justified in not only leaving early, but taking your wedding gift with you because these people are not your friends. I'm still so angry about the entire thing. I wish I had told them to go screw themselves the minute they called my boyfriend some guy I might not even be with in the future. My relationship is one of the most important things in my life, and my boyfriend is precious to me. You need to cut them out immediately. They have already proven they don't care about your feelings by ignoring the fact you previously said you do not want to date this dude. If he contacts you again, get a restraining order because this is some next level diabolical manipulation. And I GTFO this environment ASAP. Which I would find absolutely hilarious, considering they don't want some random guy in their photos when they look at them later in life, but now have to look back at photos with some random girl they're not friends with anymore. LMAO. Not stay home. If you were seriously singled out like that as the only major exception by someone, either the wedding couple or anyone in the wedding party, I probably would have been more angry. Honestly, I was the most mad about how they disrespected my boyfriend in the relationship, calling him some random guy and saying I might not be with him in the future. Like, what the heck kind of way is that to talk about my relationship that's extremely important to me? Not stay home. You were treated blatantly and fairly, and it appears that there was an ulterior motive. You'd be justified if you want no contact with everybody involved in this fiasco. Now for the update. Alright, after making this post, I emailed them back, and I started small just to see what they would say. All I said to start it off was, I was uncomfortable because I was the only one without a +1 after being told nobody but engaged or married couples would have them. Multiple people at the reception started repeatedly asking me where my boyfriend was, and I was getting more and more humiliated, especially since I was seated with 2 colleagues and their Tinder boyfriends. It was humiliating to be the only one singled out, and I was extremely upset. Here's the reply I quickly got, which just meant no +1s for the ceremony. It was perfectly fine for you to bring your boyfriend to the reception, and that's what we assumed you were going to do. That's what we always planned for. The reception being much larger and looser. We never heard from you about bringing your boyfriend to the reception, so we didn't plan for it, but it always would have been fine. This reply is some BS. That was never, ever said to me at all or presented as an option. I would have actually been fine with that as a compromise. Yes, this is a toilet paper answer. She's just trying to cover her butt. Was there an empty seat next to you? Nope. What kind of wedding doesn't account for everyone at the ceremony and the reception? She's been caught out and is lying. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. You're right. It's BS. Call it out. If that is the case, why was this option not brought up when I asked in person why I could not bring boyfriend? If you expected him, why did you not inquire as to why he did not RSVP? Why didn't you ask me what his meal choice was? You know very well you went out of your way to make sure he did not attend a reception with me, and you scrambling to come up with excuses at this point is incredibly weak. even with all of that, I would have and plan to let it go if groom's friends, Dina's sneakers, person that brought you to the table, hadn't planned out a scheme to humiliate me in front of their entire table as a way of forcing me into accepting a date with a drunk and exceptionally creepy Dean. Even as I tried to politely walk away, he continued shouting pickup lines at me until I'd had enough. I don't know anyone else's names, but be sure to call them out specifically for their compliance. It is gaslighting, right? That is not the reply I expected, and it made me second-guess myself. Like, wait, did they say something about bringing him to the reception? But no, they didn't. If they were expecting you to bring him to the reception, there would have been a seat for him and presumably would have needed food preferences. Yeah, it seems like they were sort of framing it as blaming me, saying that they expected him to come at first, but because they never heard anything from me, they didn't go ahead and plan for him. Now for the last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay for professional hair, makeup, new shoes, and stay in an expensive Airbnb for my friend's out-of-town wedding? Original post. Hi all. My 28 female friend, 30 female, let's call her Brooke, is getting married to her long-distance boyfriend, 28 male, for 6 months. For background, I live in a city about a 16-hour drive away from where Brooke lives. However, the groom also lives in a different city from both myself and the bride, somewhere in between both of us. She will be getting married on her groom's farm in a different state about 6 hours away from me. A couple of days later, all hell breaks loose when Brooke's first list of requirements emerge in the group chat. 1. Makeup and hair must be professionally done and paid for by bridesmaid, $200 for both. 2. We must purchase nude flats and we may not wear heels, around $30 to $50, as she is worried she and her groom will look shorter than us. 3. We must wear the jewelry of her choice. To be fair to her, she said this would be a barred gift to us once she decides what look she is going for. 4. Nails must be bare or in the mauve color she has selected for her dress. 5. The dress must be from the local boutique, 16 hours drive or a 3-hour plane flight away from me, and must be floor length with straps. The boutique doesn't ship, but my sister is picking it up, trying it on, and sending pictures. I texted her explaining I'm traveling for the wedding and I'm happy to pay the accommodation, airfare, and for the dress, but that if she was requiring professional makeup and specific non-heeled shoes, that she should pay for the extra things she wants. I explained that I am happy to pay for the usual things, but that my budget wouldn't allow for professional hair and makeup and new shoes. She said she would speak to her groom about allowing me to stay on the farm property, but that the makeup was non-negotiable. Fast forward again today. Brooke texts me and says she will have to renege on the offer she made to me to let me stay in the farmhouse on the night after the wedding. She reserved an Airbnb in the city, $200 a night, for the wedding party. However, she says she will only be paying for the night prior to the wedding. Brooke tells me that she thinks I should stay in the Airbnb she booked, since there is a 2-night minimum and she would like the money back. I politely declined and said I would try to find accommodations in the city for the night after the wedding, since there are some reasonable places to stay. I asked if there would be anyone to transport me back to the city since no cabs or public transportation will go there. Brooke says she will not arrange transportation for me unless I stay in the $200 Airbnb and pay her back for the cost of it. She said I may bring a tent or have to figure it out myself. I'm more than willing to pay for the dress, transportation, etc. The cost of being in her wedding right now is $1,256, including all travel expenses, dress, and extras she's asked for. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Are you absolutely sure even going is worth it? I'm leaning really hard towards noping right out of this whole bizarre event. Not the a-hole. And all of this for a 6-month-old relationship. Brides have some of the most extreme cases of delusion/entitlement I've ever seen. Long distance at that. Not the a-hole. As someone planning a wedding myself, I would never demand my bridesmaid spend this much on something this specific. She should be footing that bill. I wouldn't bother going to a wedding where I'd have to spend $1,300 just for the wedding. I asked my girls to buy a navy dress on Amazon for $35 and show up. They looked beautiful, and I was giving them gifts. I don't understand the entitlement. I hope Opie knows she's not the a-hole, and I hope she doesn't waste her time and money to fulfill her friend's Instagram photo wishes. This is super considerate. I know the dress and looking presentable is part of it, so that makes sense to me. But it seems so focused on what I look like and how much I'm spending, and not at all in just being there to support her for her big day and having a good time. I do want to see her get married, but it seems like she wants me there for the Insta and that sweet, sweet purple aesthetic. Not stay home. You can't afford what you can afford and have been very upfront. Off topic, but long-distance fiancé of 6 months and groom's farm? Please let this be an example of people who met on farmersonly.com. Haha, I wish. They did meet online, but not Farmers Only. Let's just say this may be a scene out of Deliverance. To bring your own bottle and cake will only be served to the groom and bride since it's too expensive. And now for the update. Hi again. Since one user said they would summon an internet ghost to hunt me if I was a bridesmaid in this wedding, here's an unsolicited update. After taking a day or two to think it through, I texted my friend and explained to her the following. Summarized. I think she's a great friend and we have a lot of great memories together. I was excited to make a new one on her big day. That being said, I couldn't afford the expenses she required, such as professional hair, makeup, specific shoes, and it chose an Airbnb. I explained that the $200 it would cost to attend is over my budget, and I simply could not afford the things she is asking for. I don't want to put her in a position where she would be compromising on things she wanted to accommodate my budget. So the best thing for me to do was to bow out of being a bridesmaid right now, so she can have ample time to find a replacement. I also explained that I had some concerns with how I was going to get off the farm after the night of the wedding, since she said she would only offer transport if I stayed in the shared $200 Airbnb. She was unsure who else would be staying there. I said I have to be in court for a trial 2 days after the wedding, and while I'm usually very flexible, I couldn't leave that part to chance since my career is important to me. Brooke responded with the following, summarized. She has been very busy planning her move, doing report cards, she's a teacher, and planning the wedding. She felt that since I'm a lawyer, I should be able to afford everything she's asking for. For reference, I'm a very new government lawyer and have massive student debt. And says she deserves a bridesmaid who will meet her expectations and be able to support her. I am not sure how to respond to her, or if I will, but I do think I dodged a bullet. Or at least a trip to Crazy Town. Thank you so much to all of you who convinced me to not attend this disaster. You have saved me $1,200 and 6 months of horror.